Good morning, everyone. I'm Jamie Parrott, or rather, good afternoon, everyone. Typically, we do these webinars a little earlier in the morning, so I appreciate you all joining us this afternoon. I'm Jamie Parrott, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at MedResults Network. And as always, I'm delighted to welcome you to our very first educational webinar presentation of 2020. Since we're just kicking off our 12th year in business, I tend to do this every year, but I feel like it's appropriate to give a little background about MedResults to familiarize or even refamiliarize many of you with our network. In 2008, when we were formed, we began with only 30 med spa customers, and all of which had one key need in common, and that was to find a way to reduce costs and stay afloat during the down economy in 2008 and 2009. And so, through what started as two small partnerships with companies Medisys and Obagi, we were actually able to offer what became the very first aesthetic medical loyalty program in this industry. So with the support of our partners and member benefits that predated today's injectable and skincare loyalty programs, we actually grew very quickly into every type of aesthetic medical business, including not only med spas, but plastic surgery practices, dermatology, and now even a variety of different professions like OBGYN and family practice who may be doing some aesthetic treatments. Today we have nearly 50 aesthetic contracts, all of which afford our member discounts, rebates, or a combination thereof. We've also grown to more than 3,200 members with over 6,000 doctors in our network. And as I mentioned before, it's a combination of medical spas, plastic and facial plastic surgeons, dermatologists, and dozens of other types of medical practices. So we've certainly learned a lot with such a diverse membership. And with all that said, and the little background that I gave, I'd love to jump straight into the education piece. So as you may not be aware, MedResults has had a long-standing partnership with Merz Aesthetics since the time when Radius was actually part of Bioform more than 10 years ago. And over the years, we've collaborated with the folks at Merz to bring savings and new programs to our members. And this year, we're excited to be offering more education through one of their top key account managers and education gurus, Linley Law. Linley and other key account managers, or CAMs as they call them, offer a unique set of skills and services to a select group of customers, and they do this to help them to find new ways to grow their businesses, both within Merz and, of course, across all of their business areas. So Linley's actually a specialist in several areas, including practice development and management, patient experience, marketing and branding, and also in profit and loss. So we're very excited to have her here today as she's going to share some great tips for you all to pay attention to in 2020. Before we begin, I want to tell you just a few things about the presentation if you haven't been with us before. While we don't do a live Q&A at the end of the presentation, we do encourage you to ask questions of our presenters, and you can do that through the chat feature on the webinar platform, and we'll get to them at the close of the webinar. Also, if you'd prefer to ask a question privately, you may do so on our short survey, which pops up automatically after the presentation closes. So please, if you can, remember to take 30 seconds to fill that little survey out. It provides us with some valuable feedback, and it helps us to make our webinars in the future a little more user-friendly. And without further ado, I'd love to introduce Linley Law of Merz Aesthetics.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Linley Law, and thanks for that lovely introduction, Jamie. You make me sound like I know what I'm doing. Thank you for joining me and taking time out of your day. It's being a former practicing CEO, I realize how hard it is to block time, so thank you so much. Jamie is correct. I have almost 24 years of medical practice business development, and it's truly been a passion of mine to help people look. And I used to be in ophthalmology, so see better, while helping doctors and entrepreneurs such as yourself build a healthy client base and make money. So I want to start off with a couple of quotes. Ben Franklin said, "By failing to prepare, you preparing to fail." Yogi Berra said, "If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else." And finally, Warren Buffett said, "Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." Those are awesome things that I want you to think about, as we are actually moving through my top 20 for 2020, I prepared these for you, the practitioner, the practice manager, and entrepreneurs of your industries in mind. If we were in a room together, I would ask by show of hands, how many of you have a mission statement? And then keeping hands raised, I'd ask, who in this room has a defined strategy on paper? And then finally, who has set goals for the practice and have them written down? I bet if we were in a room of 100, less than 15 in the room, less than 15% arms would have to be raised. Last calendar year, I was in 98 practice, but just let's keep some math easy and let's round it up to 100. 5 had mission statements, 3 had a defined strategy documented, and when asked about goals, there were roughly 8 with a financial goal written down. I know you were thinking, that's just the South, lady, but I studied this profusely, and I know this to be true. So I'm not telling you to make this feel bad or feel better about yourself. I hope that everyone on this call helps raise that average in what I see nationally. I'm sharing this with you to set expectations of what we're about to review. Our next 20 minutes is not life-changing, but taking the time to listen is more than your competitors are doing. The upcoming slides are basic at its best, but 3 years ago, I took a practice to $6 million in 2 years with a startup with just the basics. So let's get started. This year we have 366 days, and I know we're 6 weeks into it, but are we going to be able to say that 2020 we did our very best? The way I like to look at a practice is, are you building value in your practice every day? Do you give your prospects reasons to choose you over your competition? And do you inspire your current clients to fall in love with you all over and over again? So we're going to start with the 20. Brainstorm for the best ideas. Getting good, honest feedback from employees is a must-have for any smart organization. This can be tricky at times, like people have fear of being recommended by the management or think their opinion won't be heard. I want to add here that not just about professional and personal goals, but gear your ideas and brainstorming for a better customer or client experience, and then review your efficiencies and your profitability. Assess last year. Start with the SWOT analysis, looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to see where your business is in comparison with your strategic plan. But if that's too complicated, make a list of what you did best and most successful in your practice last year and figure out the why. Why did that actually be the winner for you last year? And do the same for the things that didn't work out so well and figure out why. I always say what you focus on, you will find. Develop a promotion marketing budget. Now, I'm going to go a little deeper dive here because being out in the field like I am in the Southeast, I find that practices really, this is where they really have a lot of questions. And so I wanted to be able to give you some guidelines. There are people who cringe when it talks about spending money on marketing, but you get what you put in it. But wading through dozens of marketing options can feel overwhelming when you already have so many other business expenses to consider. Investing in yourself and your client base for long-term success is worth it. Prioritize your spending and focus on what makes you more competitive sooner rather than later. You need to know exactly how much money is going out and how much is coming in to create and stick to a marketing budget for your business. It's very important here to set goals. How much revenue do you need? How many sales do you need to make your revenue goal? Determine how many leads you need to convert for the right number of sales, and at what percentage your leads typically convert. And if you're just starting, research typical sales conversion rates in your niche to get a realistic target. in aesthetics, it truly, depending on the numbers and what marketing you're doing, your lead could actually cost anywhere from $50 to $500, depending on if you have plastic surgery with it or not. Leads to convert, typically 50% will convert to some type of consultation. And then you have, out of that 50%, there will be a no-show. There will be no-shows to consider, rescheduling, and then converting of that 50, you're looking at converting of about 60% of those. Because if they show up to meet with you, they are looking for a reason not to do business with you. So it's truly up to you and their experience while they're with your practice. So setting goals is an important step to know if you're successful or not, and you need to be tracking them as well. So start with your basic competition of what they're already doing and see what works for your business. These observations will help you set a marketing budget based on methods that have been tried and tested for you. If you can't go back and assess last year, assess last week. Ongoing monitoring is vital to staying healthy, so take stock regularly so you can change course quickly. Where I find in practice is things that can kill you is not assessing your no-shows and cancellations. Some practices see up to 30 or 50%, depending on if it's a follow-up or a new consultation or just a regular patient that's undergoing a treatment plan. So understanding why patients don't show is very, very important. And 36% of them actually say that finances or just forgetting their appointment is the reasons why we have so many cancellations and no-shows. Choose just one method of contact for each patient and stick to it. Studies show that this is way more effective than scattering reminders across different platforms. When sending reminders, always remember to take your cancellation policy into consideration. If you charge a fee for an appointment canceled with less than 48 hours notice, for example, you should set that reminder to make sure that they can get back to you in time. Send reminders on a set schedule that works for your patients. I recommend a 1-2-1 method. 1 week before the appointment, 2 days before the appointment, and 1 hour. And include in that information appointment date and time, the reason why they're scheduled their visit, who will they be seeing, and remember to put your office location in the information. And increasing productivity, that's another top 20 for 2020. Just look and see, and look to see the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. All focus should be on the offerings that produce 80% of your revenue, all operations, marketing, and such. Earlier, I spoke of looking at what went well and vice versa. I promise you, the numbers will not lie. Map out your marketing reconnections. Even some of the strongest practices do not do this well. But taking advantage of someone who has raised their hand to do business with you is just adding to your future growth. Some statistics that I find interesting is 42% of practice never follow up with a prospect. 80% of sales are closed between the 5th and 12th attempt. So having a process in place that you can work with your staff and peers to take a lead and take it to a conversion is it's not just one and done. These people need to be wooed. Research trends. There are many ways that you can actually research the trends that are going on, and I tell you, in the aesthetics, they're moving so very fast. But watch social media channels and keep up with the trends. Read industry books. I have a list of my favorites. One of them is Beautifully Profitable by Cheryl Whitman. Catherine Malley has an excellent book. And then Dr. Mark Tager has some incredible books on taking a practice to an elective practice. He had a wonderful one that just came out last year. Establish yourself as a market expert in your market. So amplify your story online. Start with a purpose. Show what you do to serve like no one else in your market. There's an exercise that I like to do with practices of sitting down and making a list of everything that makes you special in your practice, and then looking up of your competitors right where you're sitting, and ask yourself, how would you compete with that competitor? What could you say that would make that unique? And that's where one fast way that you can get a great value statement of really being able to establish yourself in the market. Those who are recognized as industry experts have a leg up in the business world. They command higher fees. They open doors more easily and are often called upon the media for quotes and feature stories. A couple of ways that you can actually establish yourself as your market expert is get deeply involved in your industry, write about it, and pitch ideas to the media. And create an online presence and use all of your outlets, your Facebook, your Instagram, Twitter, all of the above. LinkedIn is another one. But that actually rolls into the next one. Polish your social media strategy. Be sure to add new content. One of my favorite ways to add new and different content is actually interviewing your staff, taking quick photos of while they're at work. Some of the questions that I like to have from the staff is what their favorite product is. What are they carrying in their bag? What procedure or what are they looking forward to having this spring? That all helps you create content to where it's not all just special. It's more about the humanizing your practice and making people want to do business with you. Grow the future. Incentivize your clients on new procedures to buy ahead of time and pre-launch promotions. If you're interested in adding new lasers or skincare, ask your clients what are they interested in pre-sale and incentivize. Put packages together to make it easier for you to not only get those products launched, but actually have your ambassadors on those products and be able to use them in your social media and in your practice. Now, this is my favorite one of growing. Is last summer I was in a practice down in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was the doctor just said, I'm not busy. There's nothing on my calendar. Can you please figure out why? So there were people coming out, so I sat up at the front desk for about an hour and just listened and watched. People were being checked out all the time without even being offered their next appointment. As we know, all studies show that if you have one aesthetic procedure or toxin or what have you, 98% are going to have another one. So you might as well make that easy for them. Rebooking is the easiest way to increase your income. By encouraging your clients to rebook their next appointment right after they complete their service, ensures you'll keep a nice steady stream of clientele and income. It is estimated that clients who rebook the day of their service make an average of 30 to 50% more visits than the clients who don't. What that means is to you is it increases your revenues by 30 to 50% by consistently rebooking. I would task a staff member or whoever's doing the checkout to set a goal for themselves of at least rescheduling 75% a day for their next treatment. Fix what doesn't work. I find in my past of working in practices that the schedule is usually the hardest thing to make work. But if the staff has regularly come to you with issues or things going on, this is a good time to stop and really meet on it and get the team together on how to solve this. Any problems that actually confuses clients or derails your sale, don't wait anymore. Stop it now. A couple words of advice from some things that I see here is, of course, the schedule. Moving patients to actually fix your schedule instead of actually finding out what the patient wants. from my experience, if you get in a habit of moving patients around, they get in a habit of not showing up for their appointments. On this, really work with your team. Your people are your greatest asset, so it makes natural sense that their feedback is so vital for any manager to know and to learn from, and to help you along the path to find valuable insight. A few ways that you can do this is do more employee meetings. Do regular employee performance reviews. My favorite is do a 3-minute huddle in the morning. Everyone stands up. That can have huge benefits, but depending on your structure and how they are performed. I like to have a list of the VIPs that are coming in, any potential places where we might see that we're going to get backed up. The morning huddle is just truly a dream. I like to have a suggestion box so you can make sure that your staff feels enabled to give their suggestions, and check it regularly, and also reward them when an idea is actually implemented. And then ask your employees regularly of anything that they feel that we could actually do better on. Express gratitude. Greet patients by their name and give them a personalized experience. Don't make your patients feel rushed. Listen intently and show patients that you truly understand them, and add a little humor and entertain them never hurt. But thanking your clients from simple thank you notes to VIP meetings goes a long way to actually building these long-term word-of-mouth referrals and your ambassadors for your practice. Build a reward program. There's been so many companies that have opened up in the last few years on trying to make it easy for doctors to do rewards. So this could be an app, it could be a punch card, it may be even something that's built into your EMR. But rewards do bring loyalty. I personally like it, the easier the better and the easier to understand. In my old practice, we tried several different times, and they always kept getting too complicated or hard to track. I like the easier plans, such as if you're a customer of Sephora or Ulta, where they gift you with dollar spend. So not that hard to track, but you try to move up to tiers based on the dollar amount that you want to save up for. And that could be, you can put anything from a product to a treatment to something big like a laser treatment. It's all dependent on your margins and your profitability. I find that you probably have a lot of people in your database that you can work with that bring special gifts that can help you market or make them ambassadors, or have maybe involved in other organizations that you could go speak. These are great to find out who they are as they come through your practice and really build a partnership with them. People truly want to help good people, and so it never hurts to ask. Express more gratitude to your staff. Your staff works so hard, and we hope that they are for you. It's very, very important to make them feel loved and appreciated, because if you make them feel that way, then they're going to make your clients feel that way. Make sure that you could keep them feeling significant. Ways that you can go ahead and make their day is just praise a job well done. Say thank you regularly. Learn your coworkers' interests. Offer flexible scheduling. Present a personalized gift. Give financial incentives. Treat them to a meal every now and then. And create a fun tradition, like a secret Santa or something around the holidays. If you see a common theme here, it's give employees a voice. Your front desk interacts with your clients daily. So it's very, very important for you to get their feedback on how things are going. And you can even do this in a quick huddle, is address what's going on about running on time, running late, any suggestions on the client experience because they're actually dealing with, people who are waiting, and being able to watch their body language. Working with the no-shows, cancellations, as I mentioned earlier, the moving the patients, but also considering the phone ringing. Oh, the ringing phone. We will save my commentary for the ringing phone for next month when we talk about mastering phone communications. Give your clients a voice. Offer a mechanism of feedback that will actually help you strengthen your practice. One of my favorite tried and true is ask if, when they're checking out, was there anything that we could have done today to improve your visit? If you get a yes, get the details and bring them to the next morning's huddle. If they say no, ask for a referral. Retain your team. I've always been the one of hire slow and fire fast. But it's up to you to give the very best training and outline of expectations of each role. One of my favorite sayings is that if it's to be, it's truly up to me. One of the downfalls of a growing practice that I've truly experienced is growing so fast that you do not have time to have proper job descriptions in place, expectations of what they are to do, rules on discounting towards the customers and gifting. It is truly important to make sure that you, to make your employees successful, is that you have the right things documented so they can actually be successful for you. Also, training. There's lots of resources out there, MedResults being one of them, to have your team being better trained to actually stay in advance for your practice and for their career. So keep your employees, make them happy, efficient, and get them experience. And finally, rally your team partners. Merz has hundreds of people across the country that have tons of, education, but utilize MedResults and our relationship to help you succeed with you and your practice and your product, and know that we are vested with MedResults and vested in your success. So preparation and inspiration. Dream, plan, commit, and execute. And the sooner you start, the better you'll be equipped, as we actually have a little longer year this year. So ask yourself, when 2021 comes on, is what did we accomplish last year? Thank you. I'm Linley Law, business key account manager for Merz Aesthetics. Thank you for your time.
Linley, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate the presentation and you joining us and preparing all this information for our attendees. For everyone that's still on the line, if you have questions for Linley and you didn't get a chance to type it in the chat box, certainly feel free to email me directly. You probably all have seen my emails by now, but I'm Jamie at MedResults Network. You can reach me anytime. I'd be happy to send you a copy of the recording, and you should get that in your inbox in the next hour or so as well. But again, thank you for your time today. We appreciate everyone who joined us, and we look forward to joining you at our next educational webinar presentation next week. Take care and have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.